I'm a nerd. 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 I'm a geek. 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 I'm a nerd. Nerd. I'm a nerd. Geek. 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 I'm a geek. Nerd. I'm a nerd. Nerd. I'm a nerd. Geek. 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 I'm a geek. Nerd.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of Urban Nerd Weekly. It's your host, it's your boy, Spaceship Space was here, man. What's happening? Yes, man, I'm glad to be back with y'all again. Welcome to episode 3. You know, I'm really glad. I'm really thankful for everybody that's been, rocking with these first 2 episodes here. Bringing you guys on in to episode number 3. You know what I'm saying? We done did a lot of talking. I did a little talking about some nerd, stuff. Get you guys in on what the show is about. But with everything that's going on social media and on the internet lately, I think that today, this episode definitely should be about nothing but net neutrality. Like this, I gotta talk about this today. You know what I'm saying? Because especially after December 14th, you know what I mean. The trippy part is, I think it's best. Like first off, everybody make sure they hit spacewashere.com. Spacewashere.com is the place to get everything that has anything to do with me. All my projects, all the podcast episodes from my past podcasts, you can find it on there. Where everything you can find it on spacewashere.com. So hit that up. And if you haven't subscribed to the show yet, make sure you do so on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play. And of course, if you're one of my SoundCloud followers, or if you're just you just have a SoundCloud account and you want to follow Urban Nerd Weekly on there, do so. And just in case, you guys forget to hit it right now or going about it later, you can always just search Urban Nerd Weekly in all those directories and it will definitely help you find things. So, just had to make sure I get that out of the way. But for right now, you know what I'm saying, I think we need to get right into the nitty-gritty of things, which is net neutrality. Now let's start with the very definition, so that way we got a clear understanding of what's going on here. Net neutrality is the principle that ISPs must treat all data on the internet the same and not discriminate or change differently by user, not charge differently by user, content, website, platform, application, type of attached equipment, or method of communication. In a nutshell, everything on the internet should be, free to be used. As long as we're paying for the service to use the internet, we should get to do whatever we want on it without regard, and it shouldn't affect how much money we have to pay. Whether you're a user of the internet, a consumer, or a content creator like me, or you're a small business of some other form, I think it's really important to first give you guys the facts, because I do have my thoughts on things, but I wanna give you guys a little background, because I know a lot of people kind of start talking about this stuff without really explaining what that's actually mean. Like, I just gave you the definition of net neutrality, right? But net neutrality is it is basically a concept that was adopted during the Obama administration to be able to help everybody be able to access the internet openly and freely. That's part of the reason that the internet has been able to grow the way that it has, is because of its freedom. You know what I mean? Like when you go to websites, you're not making that decision based off of what website's working the fastest. You get to actually choose, like, hey, I like this site the most for this thing. Like if you like Apple Music and you like to stream your music off Apple Music, it's not based off that it's the fastest or that it, whatever. It's based off the fact that you like the service that they provide, so you're willing to pay for it. Well, because of the way that they're trying to have the internet go, if there's another company that could ever come up and do the job better than Apple Music, you'll never hear about them, because Apple Music has enough money to be able to pay all the fees that are going to start popping up left and right in order to keep that type of site running, because they're a streaming service. That's big bucks. The government knows they're making a lot of money from their streaming service. Plus, it's iTunes, it's Apple. They know they got the dough. So they're going to get hit because they're going to be paying extra just because they're one of the big dogs. All the little guys are going to suffer because they're not going to have enough money to be able to compete on that same level. So they're going to get drowned out. And we as the consumers get cheated because we don't get a true, fair opportunity to truly choose what we wanted to use. Because it'll be a point where it'll be a thing where, okay, well, we'll just have to use Apple Music because they're the only ones available. And I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying, worst case scenario, that could happen. And let's say because of the way that, Uncle Sam's bullying them, as most companies do, they in turn bully us. So they'll do things like increase the subscription, like the amount you have to pay a month or a year for your subscription. You'll get less services. They'll care less about customer service because they know that you have to deal with them. It's all like old school gangster hustler type stuff. But like I said, I need to give you guys facts first. Okay, first of all, how did we get here, right? Net neutrality, how did we get here? All right, so as a kid coming up in the 90s, I remember when, the internet started to kind of have its boom. You know what I mean? They called it the .com bubble back then. Oh my God, I'm getting this I'm so old feeling right now. Because that's like the third time this week I've said back then. What the fuck? What is this back then shit? I need to get myself together. Anyway. Back in those days. What the hell? I don't want to say those words. At that point in time, I remember how the internet used to be. It was really slow. I remember, everybody used to get those little AOL CDs for 6 months of free internet. And that's pretty much how everybody had their internet at first. You get those 6 months of free internet from that CD, and you try to go do as much internet as you could with the whole, it was the little AOL CD. Cause back then you had to, everything you had to pay for email back then. Even America Online would charge you, you know what I'm saying? But if anybody's old enough to remember, it was really, really slow. And it was frustrating. So, as somebody who remembers what it was like, it's a true miracle to be able to just get on and do all this stuff lickety-split like we can. And over the years, we saw that go faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And then now, because of the way the internet's booming, there's all kinds of opportunity for entertainment, for business, for political activism, for supporting causes. Anything you can think of, you can do it on the internet. But there's a reason. Because the internet has been, for a good couple of years, they've been fighting for the internet to be open and free. Now, like I said, let's get a little background. I guess at some point, maybe around 2005 is when this conversation began to get started. Because between 2005 and 2015, that's like 10 years of debate. During the Obama administration, the FCC adopted net neutrality rules based on Title II of the FCC's Communication Act. Now, what that meant was, in February 2015, the FCC had to reclassify broadband providers as common carriers under Title II, which basically means that they have to charge for their service the same as electricity, gas, water, any utilities in your home. They basically decided, the FCC basically ruled in the courts that the ISPs, or internet service providers like AT&T and Verizon, Comcast, people like that, they have to charge for their service based on it being a commodity or a utility such as water, electricity, heat, gas, whatever have you. They have to do it that way because it's the only way to keep things safe, because of the fact that, it's something that it's become reliant. We need it for communication. We need it for there's a lot of businesses that are now have so much stake in the online game. You know what I'm saying? And see, this is the thing. This happened in 2015, right? So you think, okay, they argue about it for like 10 years, and then they came to this conclusion, right? And that should be the end of things. Boom. Right? Well, apparently, good things never last forever, because we're not allowed to be happy in this world. Some kind of way, they ended up challenging, big, I'm guessing, big government, big business, whatever have you, whatever they want to call themselves, challenged the FCC's ruling twice. And then on June 15th of 2016, after those challenges, a panel of judges chose to continue upholding the FCC's net neutrality rules. And that should have really been the last word. You know what I mean? That should have been the nail in the coffin. I mean, they already argued about this as much as they did. They came to this conclusion. But for whatever reason, and I could just keep saying for whatever reason, but we know that reason is money. It's money. It's greed. I mean, look at folks. Look, folks. There was no real chance of this ever really changing until the Trump administration. Trump administration is the one that's trying to gut the Net Neutrality Act and repeal it. And the problem is, he's got this guy, his FCC, his Republican majority approved chairman, Ajit Pai, who's been on a crusade for the last year to gut net neutrality protections, that keeps everybody, everything even and leveled. And on December 14th, a couple of days ago, actually, some kind of way he was able to push to get it changed. So now the FCC decided to vote more along the Republican Party lines to approve the quote-unquote Restoring Internet Freedom Order, which I like to call codename bullshit. All right? What they're doing is, I'm giving y'all these facts because I want to explain to y'all what's really going on here. This is why I'm so glad I get to be the urban nerd that breaks this down to you guys, because this is some real street shit that they doing. They seeing how much money is in the internet. See, what you got to understand is this fight started long before the internet really got popping. Really? Why? Because the people that are doing this are the people that originally didn't see any true value in the internet. So they let us have it. They let people like us, the listeners of the show, the guy, me, creating the show, the people who, need these types of shows to have content for their websites to go. There is a cycle of money and traffic and everything that's to be had. It's just like how the flea market is, or you go to certain streets and there's just merchants, or you go in a foreign country and every country has that little spot where everybody sells, their fruits and veggies, and that's what the internet is to the world. But there's a lot of people that never believed that the internet would become that, and then once it did, now they want in because they're the type of people who had control over all of the stuff. These are the guys that had control over TV, had control over radio, over business, and had their hands in government. And because they didn't see any value in the internet, they didn't want to invest and, help it flourish in the early days. So it takes people like us, like I just named, users, the listeners, the people who, the guys who get on SoundCloud every day just to listen to music, and the people who play Pandora while they're cleaning up their house, or the people who listen to shows like Urban Nerd Weekly, while they're driving to work, or, while you getting ready in the morning, or whether, you're trying to grab you a little snack on break at your job. Stuff like that is so convenient because the internet has been free to flourish. People come up with ideas, and there's an honest-to-God chance that the people can experience it, and we can either approve or reject based on our love of the product or the service. Like, based on what it's supposed to be based on. Right? And now, all those guys, they want control over it, just like they have control over everything else. And what they're trying to do is put a pigeonhole on it. If all of the service providers have their own horses in the race, how fair is it for them to be able to regulate the traffic? Because what people gotta understand is the biggest problem is with them having this control, it'll give them the ability to do stuff like throttle sites, traffic, and block sites entirely from being accessed. And then what that does is it stops the internet from being able to flourish, because when people come up with ideas, we won't even get to experience them unless they have a billion connections already. And it'll be just like how the music industry kind of is right now. You got certain people that you don't get to hear because this big machine is pushing all these other guys. The next Snapchat or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram won't really exist the way it should, like it did for us. Remember how MySpace just kind of came out, and then gradually people started gravitating towards it, and we all liked it. And then the same thing happened with Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Anything you can think of. There's people going to Twitch now, And those are just the social media examples, you know what I mean? Imagine if somebody came up with, like I was talking about earlier, the next iTunes or the next SoundCloud or the next Spotify, or somebody comes up with a better way for us, to be able to actually have our voices in the government. I might be saying too much right now, but people have to understand that's one of the advantages there is to open and free internet. It's almost a part of freedom of speech. You're giving people the ability to block people's freedom of speech without it actually looking like you're stopping people's freedom of speech. Because, let's just say the government decides to put out their own podcast about stuff like the same thing I want to talk about. Or let's just say some guy who has government connections wants to make the exact same kind of show I'm making. You guys might like my show better, but you'll see his show more. You'll search my show and it'll be harder to find. You could come to let's try to listen, and the audio will start getting choppy. It'll cut out. It'll mess up on certain devices that are really popular. Whereas even though you might not like that, the other guy's show as much, it's easy to access. It always streams. It always plays. There's never any lag, They guarantee that as soon as you press play, his starts playing. Mine might have like a 10-second delay, which will deter somebody from listening. I mean, this is facts. These are true things. You know what I mean? And the problem is, on December 14th, a couple of days ago, they actually approved for this to be allowed. Now, the fight isn't over. We gotta make our opinions heard. You know what I'm saying? Next episode, I'm gonna dive more into how we can try to help fight this. So it's getting crazy because I originally didn't plan on doing segments for my show, but it's looking like I'm gonna have to have like segments because I feel like every episode should be I need to talk a little bit about net neutrality. You know what I'm saying? That's why I named this episode Nerd Neutrality, because that's who's gonna get hit the hardest by this shit. It's us nerds, you guys. All my fellow nerds listening, we're the ones that's gonna get fucked the hardest. This is those bullies from your high school, those rich assholes, those jock assholes, those bully assholes. This is those guys getting together to get control over our fucking science project so that they can get all the A's and we can just end up doing their fucking homework again. Is that what you want? I thought not. So we gotta stand up. I'm gonna come next episode. I'm gonna definitely have a lot more information on how we can help fight this, because we gotta get this reversed as soon as possible, because it's fucking with the nerd money. You know what I'm saying? Not only is it gonna mess with all of us content creators, us YouTubers, us podcasters, all you SoundCloud rappers out there. This shit is gonna fuck with y'all's money, man. All y'all internet marketers, street A&Rs, y'all managers, y'all managers, y'all gonna have to be pulling triple time. Y'all gonna need like 30 acts to make $1 if this gets really bad, or you're gonna have to sell out so early in your career that it's not even gonna make sense to have one anymore. But that's the funny part is that, you know, this net neutrality thing, I'm gonna have to make this a segment as well as my other segment, you know, hashtag nerd money, talking about the Bitcoin, which is the most ironic part because there's a lot of talk about how net neutrality is going to severely affect the ability for people to be able to exchange the Bitcoins. Because now these guys are going to have their chokehold on the internet. And they'll be able to just decide, okay, so if all of the future currency is going to be in Bitcoins and Bitcoins on the internet, the guys that got the chokehold on the internet are going to once again have even more control over the money. That's gonna defeat the entire purpose of having the Bitcoin in the first place, because the biggest appeal of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoins and the other ones that are popping up more, which I'm gonna get to in the next episode as well. But it's because it's a decentralized banking system. There's no agency that gets to control that. And now, because the big dogs have their chokehold on the internet, they do get to become that central entity. And in a certain sort of way, they might not be directly in control of transactions, but they can. If now, once again, they got a way to stop your money. We can't let this. We cannot let this continue to keep going on. We really gotta find a way to help whoever's at the forefront of this. And that's another thing, because, you know, when people come together, it always gets a little because not everybody has the same agenda. So one of the biggest things is we gotta figure out who's at the head of trying to fight this, so we can all help them and push forward to get this thing fixed. Because, I mean, we all know that the truth of the matter is this is just the Trump administration. Because it's Trump. He's all about the dollar bill, selfishly so. And that's the problem with those guys. It's almost like this is the setup right here for Revenge of the Internet. This is the new Revenge of the Nerds sequel, is us against them. Like, here's a good example of how it'll affect cryptocurrency. The average person goes to Coinbase, which is a website, to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. The average on-ramp is an exchange, and those are easy to block. If Comcast is the monopoly provider in an area, the provider could decide there's a preferred Bitcoin exchange. Let's break this down. From this statement alone, which is strictly hypothetical at this point, we can already spot a mountain of problems for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and countless others. For one, ISPs may decide or bend under government pressure. See, and that's another thing. Because some of the big dogs, people like Google, people like Google and Twitter, they kind of are on our side on the thing, but they're like that big brother who's kind of still got to bend over for dad, even though he's trying to fight for you and shit. So, they might decide on their own or have to bend under government pressure to effectively end cryptocurrency by shutting off access to make deposits or withdrawals from popular and trustworthy exchanges. This would leave enthusiasts, spectators, stockholders with few options. But those that remain would undoubtedly be sketchy offerings of those well outside the reach of law enforcement. You see what I'm saying? Like now, it's going to end up creating a point where there's a black market for the Bitcoin. And it'll be kind of like how marijuana is the gateway drug to other things that's wrong. Because you got to go to the guy that sells guns and crack to buy weed. That's the only reason that it's a gateway drug. When you start talking about Bitcoin and when we're talking about money on the internet, you can't go that conversation without talking scams, right? And that's the biggest thing that everybody's afraid of when they're doing anything that has to do with money and the internet. It's scams. So if you block all of the places where you can get like trustworthy exchanges of Bitcoin and to actual currency or Bitcoin to Bitcoin transactions or, you know what I mean, whatever in that arena, if you're blocked to the only places that are actually trustworthy enough for you to feel comfortable using your money there, then you're going to have to go to these alternate places to try to make it happen because they can't stop the future. The Bitcoins are still going to exist. Cryptocurrency is still the new wave. It's already started to happen. You can't stop that. It's like Bad Boy and Diddy. Can't stop, won't stop. It ain't gonna stop, feel me? So now the thing is, you'll have to go to these alternate places that's sketchy and questionable, like the neighborhood some people have to go in to buy their weed. It's the same concept. So now you run the risk of getting scammed even more likely because you on these scumbag ass websites and they're just there to, get you for all you got. And then they're gonna, try to turn that into a conversation about how Bitcoin isn't a new great idea. Because they don't actually want you to use it because it's a decentralized. They don't have as much control. Like even though they're still controlling what's happening in this situation, they still want you to use the banking system they've already set up because it's not decentralized. They have their total foothold on that, so they're gonna be their preferred method for you to use. You know what I mean? And I mean, who wants to be that fucking control man? The government has already got their foothold on every fucking thing. Let us have the internet. Let us fucking have it. This our shit. We pay y'all motherfuckers enough, all right? Comcast bill come every month. Verizon bill come every month. Comcast bill come every month. Everything Apple make costs an arm and a leg, so that shit might as well be a bill every month. $500 iPod, shit. I'm gonna look at that as 5 months that I had to pay $100 a month. You know what I mean? Every month. And then, it's all a cycle. We're already using your money to pay you for shit that we made and gotta use. That is insane. But yeah, that's how fucked up things are right now, man. We gotta fight this shit. So, if anybody has any information before I get to disseminate more on the next episode, or, I'll definitely still be dispensing information on my Twitter, twitter.com/Space was here, or I could have just said @Space was here and not said all those extra words and shit. But yeah, Instagram @Space was here. Facebook, Space was here. SpaceWasHere.com. You know what I mean? Urban Nerd Weekly on SoundCloud. Hit me up. Let me know what y'all think about this particular issue, because we gotta all come together and collectively use the knowledge from trustworthy sources in order to figure out how to fix this problem. Because I, for one, am trying to get my hustle on. Because I got merch by Space coming soon. I got mixtapes to drop and market and promote, all right? I got a comedy album coming next year, and I got this podcast, and it's a jumping. All right, so I'm trying to be able to continue to get my hustle on and flourish and bring myself out of situations, but I can't do that under this bullshit ass order that they have imposed. But before I get up out of here, I do want to hit all of my nerd fam up with some recent video game releases, and things on a gamer note. You know what I'm saying? If when you play the game, that's the perfect time to play Urban Nerd Weekly, man. Cause y'all can listen to me while you play the game. You know what I'm saying? Finish playing the game, leave some comments. If you ain't subscribed yet, subscribe. Feel me? But all my gamer fam, and I'm gonna go ahead and credit Polygon.com. They're not a site I use often, or at least I didn't until I was doing some research for this episode of the podcast, and they are an awesome website. They didn't pay me to advertise them. They don't even know. I highly doubt they'll ever know about, well, I'll say ever, but I doubt that at this point they know about my show unless one of you guys goes and tell them. But Polygon.com, Polygon.com. Great site to go and learn about all the newest video game releases. It gives you by date. It gives you the console. Gives you a little breakdown of each and every game. I'm going to go ahead and just tell y'all some of the top stuff coming out right now, because it is still Christmas time, and I know a lot of you guys are either wanting video games, or you probably know somebody that'll be interested in getting video games as a present for Christmas. So I'm going to break this here down to you with some of the most, well, they used to be anticipated releases, but they didn't already came out now. So here we go. Doom VFR. And if anybody doesn't know, when I say VFR, that's usually just something they tack on to the end of the video game name to let you know that it's virtual reality. You can play a virtual reality, whatever. So that's available on the PlayStation 4 and the HTC Vive. And it does come with the PS4 virtual reality bundle. And that came out December 1st, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That's on the Nintendo Switch for all my Switch users out there. I know y'all probably looking for a game to play on there that's gonna be, if you ever heard of any before you got it, that seems like a pretty legit one. On December 5th, we got Dead Rising 4 came out. Dead Rising 4, Frank's Big Package, available on PlayStation 4. Destiny 2, which I've been hearing a lot about Destiny and Skyrim a lot this year. I should have been checking them out, but I've been working so much, man, I haven't had the chance. But Destiny 2, Curse of Osiris, is available on PlayStation 4, Windows PC, and Xbox One. Everybody in Georgia, I'm sure you're going to want to hear about this game, The Walking Dead, the Telltale Series Collection. Available on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. On the 9th, we got Loco Roco 2 for the PlayStation 4. On the 12th, we got Fallout VR for Windows PC, as well as Okami HD, which is available on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro, as well as the Windows PC, the Xbox One, and the Xbox One X. Also, we got PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on Xbox One, Resident Evil 7, End of Zoe and Not Hero, PS4. It's on the PS4, the Windows PC, and Xbox One. We got Final Fantasy 15, Episode Ignis, available on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. We got Star Wars Battlefront 2, The Last Jedi Season, available on PlayStation 4, Windows PC, and Xbox One. And those last two I said, Final Fantasy 15 and Xbox Battlefront 2, they both came out on the 13th. Which really doesn't matter because it's well past the 13th, so it's already out. So if that's what you want to go look for, it's already out there, for you to find. I don't know what date this came out, but there's also a new Soul Calibur coming out soon. I don't know if it's already out or it's about to come out, but I definitely remember being a 90s kid. Soul Calibur, one of the more awesome gaming series. That's this episode, guys. That was this week's episode of Urban Nerd Weekly. I know it happened so fast, dude. Like, why? This is how these things go. So long, farewell to you, my friends. If you know where that quote came from, here's what I'm gonna do. Whoever knows the show that quote came from, leave it in a comment and you will get shouted out, which is basically free promo. I'm going to shout you out in the next 4 episodes of Urban Nerd Weekly. Whoever can tell, like the first 4 people who could tell me the TV show that little song quote, hello, so long, farewell to you, my friends. If you can tell me where that came from, I will shout you out in the next 4 episodes of Urban Nerd Weekly. My name is Space, and I was here, but now I am